In the past couple years, I've generated over 300 million views organically online, ran over 1,000 ads, sent over 500,000 outreach messages, and gone to over 400 networking events. My goal in this video is to help you decide which one of those marketing strategies makes the most sense for your business and why, so you can have a well-informed idea of what you need to do instead of a biased one sent to you by the marketer trying to sell you that exact service. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and years of trial and error to learn these strategies. If you'd rather save all that time, energy, and money and learn those lessons now in the next 20 minutes, stick around for the rest of the video. And don't forget to subscribe if you're looking to scale your service-based business to 30 grand a month and beyond.
Welcome back to the Organic Growth Accelerator. Today we got an exciting one for you. We're going to talk about how do you decide what marketing strategy to go with. You know, it can be hard a lot of times deciding what marketing strategy to go with. And the reason why is because every marketer we speak with has a biased opinion. Why? Because if you talk to an SEO agency, obviously they're going to tell you SEO is what you need. You talk to a done-for-you content service, they're going to tell you you need that. You talk to a media buyer, they're going to tell you, oh yeah, you just need to run ads. Everyone is going to have a solution based off of what they sell that will be the quote unquote solution to your problem. The truth is there's a lot of variables that come into play to determine which strategy is best for your business. And my goal today on this episode is to help you figure that out for yourself. So we're going to do this in a very simple way. I'm going to start by breaking down every single lead generation strategy you have available, the pros and cons to each, and my recommendations on when you should consider using this strategy. So there's really 5 main ways to get clients, right? We have organic content. So this could be posting on TikTok, LinkedIn, Meta, doing podcasts, right? We have outbound, which is reaching out to people either on social media, email, phone number, door knocking, right? And we have networking. So like actually going to conferences, conventions, networking events, right? You can do those both online and in person. Then we have referrals. So this is going to be either getting clients from people in your network or, you know, white label partnerships and affiliates. Then last but not least, we have advertising, which is obviously paying to get in front of people, whether that's social media ads, billboards, stuff like that, right? So that being said, let's start with organic content, right? So typically people that are looking to grow through organic content, they're doing, you know, if you're using Instagram, I would really recommend using Instagram for lead gen. Instagram is really your resume, right? When someone is vetting you, they go look at your Instagram to see if you're someone they want to work with. If you're using YouTube, typically YouTube is really for building your brand. It's longer form content. This is how you actually nurture a relationship with your audience to make them trust you enough to want to work with you, right? Then we have TikTok, which is really for generating leads and attention, right? TikTok, short form content, doesn't build a deep relationship with your audience, but it does generate a lot of that attention that typically we want to push to longer form content like podcasts and YouTube videos. Then we obviously have podcasts, which what I love about podcasts are actually generating an underrated way to use podcasts is actually generating clients from interviewing the people you want to turn into clients, right? So if you have a podcast where you can interview people that are actually your target market, it's a really good lead magnet to get people's attention to want to work with you. But you can also take that content and chop it up into short form content and mid form content. So it acts as what we call pillar content, which is content that gives you a bunch of different content from one action, right? Then last but not least, we have LinkedIn, so you can post on there. I don't have the biggest background in LinkedIn content, but typically I would assume you're using it for lead gen and lead nurture, right? Warming up the leads that you're getting from LinkedIn. Now there's pros and cons to using organic content as your strategy. I'd say the pros are it's going to give you the cheapest, warmest leads you can get, right? So when you get organic working, these are people that really like, know, and trust you because they're discovering you from the content itself. Cons are really, typically this takes the longest to figure out, and it's the hardest skill set to outsource, right? Because you have to be charismatic on camera. You have to be someone that is comfortable being on camera. It's a skill set versus something like, say, advertising or outbound. You could always outsource that to anyone that can follow a script. Outside of that, when should you consider doing organic? My recommendation is really doing organic once you have consistent cash flow. If you have an immediate need for cash flow, there's other strategies that are much easier to get clients from. Versus with content, it's a long-term play that's going to be the best long-term for your business. But short-term, if you need money now, there's other ways that are much more efficient. So that's what I would say. If you need immediate leads, focus on another strategy. If you don't, build brand over time, because this is going to be the cheapest warm source of lead flow. Now, next, we have outbound. So outbound is a current strategy that I do the most for my business. We currently send about 150,000 outreaches a month. So this has been an amazing strategy to line up, over 6 figures in business for my own business. Right now, where do we do this outbound? Well, you could reach out to Instagram, on TikTok. What I like about that strategy is completely free. It's very easy to find people to your target market. And if you have a good account, it's very easy to connect with people. Now, where do I typically do outbound? Now, we have really Instagram and TikTok. This is a great place to do it for free. The only problem is you can only do up to 50 per day and 10 per hour before you start flagging the algorithm. So take that into account if that's a route you want to go, but it's very easy to find people that are your target market on there. Now, email, this in my opinion is the best way if you're B2B to scale your business. It's the most cost effective. Last month for our own business, we did $32,000 off of less than $1,000 in overhead from email. The reason why is because we sent out over 30,000 emails, and from those emails, we were able to line up 4 clients that were all high ticket, right? So this is a really great strategy, and in my opinion, a much better place to start if you are B2B, because it's very easy to find high quality leads. I'll show you an example here.
All right, so this right here is a platform called Instantly. Basically, what this platform allows you to do is to send emails at scale. So what we do is we buy a bunch of different domains. And the reason why we do this is because you can only send about 30 to 50 emails per email account before you flag the algorithm as spam. So the way you get around that is you buy a bunch of different domains, and then you put 2 or 3 email accounts per domain. And then we're able to manage all of the emails that we send out for our campaigns within a single unit box. So basically, you look at our business, for example, on this account in the last 4 weeks, we've sent 40,000 emails. And from that, we've been able to generate 33 like solid leads that we could turn into sales, right? And basically, when they come in, they all come into a single inbox, and then we're able to manage each campaign individually right here. Right, so this process has allowed us to automate hundreds of thousands of outreaches. Just with this one account alone, in the last 12 months, we've sent 130,000 emails. Now with the others, we're using a couple other softwares as well. One I believe is called Smartly. We're currently now sending 120,000 per month. Right? So this is just one account. But this has been a game changer for us. Because since we're able to get these super targeted lead lists where we have the name, email, title, are they entry level, C-suite, all their contact information, how many employees they have, estimated annual revenue, what industry they're in, all this very specific targeted information, it allows us to, at scale, send very personalized outreach messages. And our team comes in and engages with all the responses. We're able to book our calendar on autopilot. So this strategy, if you're B2B, is by far the most cost effective and the one I recommend that you use. If you'd like to explore having my team do it for you, we do offer that as a service. Just shoot me a DM on Instagram, and let's get back into the other strategies.
Now, the cons of email are really just the fact that it takes a little while to warm them up. So you can't scale as quick as, say, advertising, where you can just spend more money. Right? When you have to warm up domains and then find good messages that convert, typically it can take longer than, say, advertising, where you can test much quicker. Now we have LinkedIn, which is a great way. There's a lot of tools out there that automate LinkedIn outreach, and then cold calling. Now, typically anything involving SMS, I'm staying away from, just because with new laws coming out from the FCC, they're making it very tough to do. And as more and more people get on the do not call list, your ability to contact these people legally becomes less and less. So in my opinion, I'd stay away. I think there's better strategies that are way easier to automate and scale. You can only call so many people. I prefer email if you're B2B, and Instagram and TikTok are a great place to start if you don't have a lot of money, because it's free, right? Now, I really recommend if you're B2C to focus on other strategies. Outbound is really best for B2B businesses. And the reason why is you have to think about the context of how someone's being contacted. When you are a business, you're actively promoting your business and your contact information for people to reach out to you. So the context of you receiving a DM is different than an individual. An individual is much less likely to be open to your message because they're not actively promoting their contact information. So it feels much more intrusive. So typically, if you're B2C, I would focus on one of the other strategies. I'd really leave outbound for B2B. Now, next, if you're B2C, this is probably your best bet. And this can be a really good route for B2B as well, which is advertising. Now, where do we typically advertise? Well, you have Meta, so that's Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube are really the four main places. Oh, and TikTok should be on there too. Those are really the 5 places that people advertising. Now, which one is best for you? That really depends on your market. And the truth is you probably don't know until you split test. Typically, I've heard that LinkedIn is a little more expensive, but you're going to get higher quality leads, right? Now, a lot of that is also based on where you built your audience or what your account looks like over there. If you have a good audience on TikTok or Instagram, that would probably be a great place to start because you can leverage the social proof of your account that people are naturally going to click on. If you have no audience at all, YouTube can be a great bet. But the truth is a lot of it is just through trial and error and testing different platforms until you find what works best for you. Now, pros of advertising is it's the easiest way to make $50,000 a month and beyond. It's the easiest one to scale because all you have to do is spend more money, right? If your cost per acquisition on a 5K offer is $500, then okay, I can invest this $4,500 profit I made back in and get a lot more sales, right? The cons is typically it's much more expensive. And the reason why is you're paying to get in front of a lot of people, but you don't necessarily have control on if those people are your target market or not. You can do your best to push the algorithm that direction through the copy you use and the targeting you use. But the truth is you don't have complete control over that, right? So typically I would recommend only doing advertising if you can afford to lose the money you spent, right? If I offered you $25,000, if you offered me $25,000 and in return I gave you $250,000, would you do it? Of course, right? So this is what can happen with ads. When you find a winning ad, you might be able to make, 10, 15 extra money sometimes, right? But what if it took you $25,000 to find that winning ad, right? If you spent $20,000 and you haven't found a winner, it's not really worth it because you lost money, right? But if you found the winning ad at $25,000 and all of a sudden you made $250, it would have been super worth it. So typically when you see people that don't have success with advertising, it's because they stopped. They ran out of money before they could find something that worked, right? So typically my recommendation when picking advertising is whatever money you're spending on ads, be comfortable losing that money, right? It's kind of like going gambling, right? If you're spending money you can't afford to lose, you probably shouldn't be gambling. Versus with advertising, it is technically a form of gambling, right? It's just a much higher probability and a much higher payoff when it does work, right? So advertising is a great route to go, especially if you're B2C. But, if I were you, I would try to find a consistent cash flow source or a budget that you're comfortable losing and that you can consistently spend on a monthly basis without needing to see a return. Whatever that is, start there and build up from there and scale once you find a winner. So that's what I would say. Now, next we have networking. This is by far the cheapest, most reliable way to get sales calls. And that is going to networking events. So there's sites like Alignable. You can go on sites like Meetup, sites like Eventbrite. And these sites are really good at finding both online events and in-person events that you can go to that are most of the time free. And when they do cost money, they're typically between $10 to $30. And when they do cost money, a majority of the time, they actually are catered, right? So you can go to these events and literally eat great. And it's just like paying to go out to lunch, right? So highly, highly recommend adding in networking events to your strategy because this is something that you can just do on a routine basis, right? It should be a part, in my opinion, of everyone's business strategy to go to at least one networking event a week, right? Because your network is going to open up so many potential doors for clients, and it's just very reliable and very cheap. So view this like doing like the fundamentals, like nutrition or eating or working out 3-4 times a week, getting good sleep. This is one of those fundamental things you could do, but instead of for the health of your body, for the health of your business, right? So I would definitely recommend, if you aren't going to networking events, go find them. You can literally Google, insert your city networking events, and find a bunch of networking events. And if you're in a city that's small, go on Alignable. That's a great one. I think it's like $30 a month for unlimited. I think you can start for free. And you basically go in rooms of 100 people, and then they break you out into one-on-ones. And throughout an hour, you get to meet with 5 to 10 people, right? So this can be a great place to start getting in front of people, providing value for those people, and finding your first clients, right? Now, last but not least, we have referrals. And referrals, typically when you start, are a great just low-hanging fruit to get a couple clients in the door. I don't recommend using referrals as your main marketing strategy. And the reason why is you have to rely on other people. And most of the time, referrals are not consistent because people are busy trying to grow their own business, right? They're not like going out of their way to market for your business. Now, there's different types of referrals, right? So we have, white label deals, which that typically can lead to more consistent clients, which is someone actually adding your service into theirs, right? Then we have like affiliates, which are people recommending for a cut, right? So finder's fee situation, or just, hey, send this person, I'll give you 10%. And then you have just friends and family sending you people, right? So when you're first getting started, I definitely recommend sweeping your warm network for referrals, because that's low-hanging fruit where you can tap in your current network to get some easy business, get the ball rolling, get some testimonials, get some cash flow, right? But after that, if you find it's working really well, that's something I would lean into. If you found it was kind of a grind to get that to work, even in your warm network, imagine what it's going to be like with a cold network. It's going to be much harder. And typically we line up referrals from sales calls of people that we're speaking with as we start to do these other strategies, right? So typically, I would save this strategy as the next strategy you do once the first one is working well, right? And so typically, the pros to this is obviously these are really warm leads, right? If you get a lead from a referral, it's like a 80% close rate, right? Versus like outbound is really cold lead. They're going to be way less likely to interact with you, right? Like, are you more likely to get a warm reception at a party you're invited to, or a party that you just walked into and no one knows who you are, right? So you have to do a lot more rapport building when it's no one knows, where the person doesn't know who you are, versus someone where you're like, oh yeah, you got to talk to Jackson. He's really good at X, Y, Z, right? So that being said, the cons are typically that people aren't reliable, right? So someone will say they'll be an affiliate, but that doesn't mean they go out and do it, right? Someone will say, oh, I have this person in mind. It doesn't mean, they actually reach out to them. Typically, I found about 10 to 20% of the people that are referrals that say they're going to bring me referrals ever actually do, right? So I go with kind of the rule of 10, which is I got to get 10 referrals to get one to send me a client, right? So I would really only lean in on this strategy, in my opinion, on the B2B side, if you can incorporate this as like a white label strategy, because that can work great, right? Like I have a funnel offer. I partnered with a media buyer, and when his clients need funnel, he can offer this as a higher package. And then he's actually actively marketing it for me by just providing more value for his current clients than, ignoring what he's doing to go promote what I'm doing, right? So that typically is a really good way. I find referrals are a great add-on. It's just obviously making sure that the numbers make sense for both parties. But, you can always incorporate referrals as an incentive on the back end with your current clients. So for example, let's say you run a karate dojo and your lead magnet is offering free karate lessons. And then at the end of the lesson, you sell them on your karate services. Well, you could also at the end of the lesson be like, hey, by the way, if you invite a friend, I'll give you the next one for free, right? So now they get a friend in the door, and, now you're getting referrals from that person you got in the door, right? So there's different ways to go about referrals. I'll dive into that deeper in more videos, but typically I would recommend referrals as to start a way to just sweep your warm network and get some easy clients in the door. And if you find that process goes well, put a pin in this and come back to referrals later down the line once you have your consistent strategy working for you. So in summary, if you're B2B and you're broke, I would start with outbound and networking events. Sweep for referrals first to just get some low-hanging fruit in the door. Then reach out to a bunch of people, either organically if you have no budget, on Instagram and TikTok or Facebook, right? If you have a little bit of a budget, I would definitely recommend doing email because we can automate that and do much more in volume. And then I would start by automating and scaling outbound because it's the cheapest route that's going to get you the most consistent cash flow. That'll get you to 30 to 50K a month. And then that will give you the extra budget you can start to diversify with into advertising. Now, if you're B2C and broke, I would sweep your network for referrals. Always start there, right? And then just start with networking, right? Networking, typically free or very cheap. It's a great place to start. And then once that starts working, add in either advertising or content, right? Content can be a great way to generate clients as well, but have the networking bringing in the baseline so you're not, strapped for cash. And you can be patient on allowing that to work, right? Now, if you're B2B and you have money, I would still start with outbound because it's still cheaper than advertising. I would typically start with email outbound. And then once you feel like you've maxed that model out or tested that model to, a good amount, then I would start to invest a little into advertising because advertising still is a very reliable strategy. It's much quicker, right? So if you're like, I need to make money right now and I have the money to spend and you want to be a little more aggressive, it might make more sense to start with advertising. But if you're like, I want to build this right and be patient and take my time, I would always start with email because it's just typically a cheaper cost per acquisition. Our cost per acquisition on a $9,500 offer is about $1,700 with ads. It's about $300 with email. So we've gotten much better results. And the reason why is because it's cheaper to get in front of just only our target market versus advertising. We're wasting some of that ad dollars getting in front of people that aren't a good fit, right? Now, if you're B2C with money, put it into ads. That's going to be your best bet. Run Facebook ads, run TikTok ads, run YouTube ads. Hire me to buyer if you suck at it. And reach out to me if you need me to connect you with one. I know some good ones. And just to remember, all these strategies will work pretty much for every niche, right? The only time these strategies don't work is when you quit before they work. Every strategy will work if you don't quit until it does. It's the fact that you quit that made you come to the conclusion that it didn't work. Meanwhile, there's other people in your niche where it has worked great, right? So the truth is, it's not about which strategy will work. It's about picking one and sticking with it until it does work. If that's your mentality, you will find a winner eventually. It took me 700 videos to get my first sale from content, right? I've ran thousands of ads. It's just a numbers game. Stick with it until you figure out how to work, and all of these strategies will work great for you. Never let volume be the reason you're not successful. And as long as that's your mentality, you'll figure it out.
Hope you're enjoying the content. If you'd like some free help with your business, go ahead and just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'd be happy to give you a free custom marketing plan. Also, every single week, I do free Zoom calls where you can come on and get direct access to me absolutely free. If you'd like the link to that, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'd be happy to send you that as well. Enjoy the content. I'll see you in the next video.